Good evening and welcome back to Nosetools, where, as I just reminded myself by watching Sunday's stream, we recently fended off an attempt by the zombie rhinoceroses to eat all of the merchants, and two of them, I think. So one Mark's dwarf, one terrified camel, another camel, and a bard. I thought we had a second Mark's dwarf kicking around somewhere. Have survived the attack of the zombie rhinoceroses, but basically all of the rest of the trade caravan fled, because apparently when you're in a nice warm fortress and a bunch of zombie rhinoceroses turn up, obviously what you do is try to run out through them. Yes, that was not good for the trade caravan. So we were also tidying up lots of things, really. We had some fun with the rubbish dump, because it turned out, I think actually because a couple of attempts at throwing zombie dwarves into it got the person doing the throwing dragged down with them. But I think that only ever happened when this floor hatch was closed. So I think the problem may actually have been that the zombie dwarf was only 1Z level lower than the dwarf doing the throwing, and therefore was rather too easy to grab from below and drag in. We lost one dwarf in that incident. So there have been suggestions that maybe, given that the various things about the rubbish dump don't quite work right, and it's kind of getting rather full of undead, possibly we should try cleaning it out a bit. And obviously the way you clean things which are dangerously undead is to fill them with magma, which is a bit of a problem because we don't have any magma. So, but, you know, our main staircase only goes down to like 70 levels below the surface. How many levels below the surface does our main staircase go at the moment? It goes quite a long way, actually. Goes down to 90Z levels below the surface. Oops, I think I managed to just zoom that out. That was not helpful.
90Z is not a fixed depth, but it's clearly far too deep.
Yes. I think it's officially give or take 270 metres. So, yes, I think we should carry on going down in the main mine shaft and see what else we can find down there, and then work out how to get, because we haven't even found a second layer of caverns yet. We may just have accidentally bypassed the extra caverns. That's the trees. So yes, I think we keep going down and see what we find. Oh, that staircase has the entertaining feature that it's connected to the surface, doesn't it? Does it? No, it's not. There's a staircase that runs from surface to upper caverns that is currently sealed, and then another staircase that runs from the lowish edge of the fortress through the mines and the upper caverns, and keeps on going down, and is used for nothing else. So I think we can reasonably keep going down that staircase and see where it leads. So that was the lead mines, which still, if we need it, have plenty of galena available. There's also some gems there. We should clearly fix those.
That's level with the big plus.
The the big plus is not, in fact, the Swiss flag. It's just somewhere where I've marked where I wanted to do some exploratory mining to see if we could find anything that we could dig out. So we've got several levels where I've designated long horizontal and vertical corridors, but then I've half undesignated the beginnings of them because I undesignated them when we found the galena. Because this was our desperate, someone's in a strange mood and wants metal and we don't have metal occasion, and we didn't actually manage to get the lead up to them in time, or the silver. So possibly I want to undesignate those levels just because they're not much point leaving them designated. Oh, there's more gems there. Dig those out as well while you're passing. But what I do want to do thus is to there's some gems there as well. Is to mark the ongoing staircase as to be extended. So I think I just need to go.
The dwarf and the building a staircase.
Yes.
But they're both too expensive.
Toggle standard / marking, and put that back to a standard designation of going deeper. So then, all being well, assuming we have any miners left alive, yes, they're currently busy storing things. Okay, what was that? All right, one of the Mark's dwarves got stuck on the, I think, on the wrong side of that door. And like chipping the bones of the rhinoceros corpse's horns are not going to hurt it. It's a zombie. Shooting it with a crossbow is probably not going to hurt it unless your aim is very good.
Also, bismuth bolts must be pretty expensive.
Bismuth bronze, so it's not pure bismuth. I think it's actually a reasonably decent material for crossbow bolts in this game. Because weight is quite helpful for them, though I think steel is better. Yeah. Maces are about the only thing you really want to make out of something other than... Oh dear, a bard is out there, what a pity. You know, attempting to beat up rhinoceros corpses with musical instruments. Yeah, well, I think Jacob says, didn't think rhino horns were made of or contained bone. I presume this is like the root of it, where it has a bit of bone that's kind of part of the rhinoceros's nose. But yes, I think they are mostly made of horn, which is definitely a distinct material in this game.
You don't mean to say that this game bodged the rhinoceros bolts?
No, I don't think it did. Well, that Mark's dwarf didn't last very long. Yes, precisely. I should probably try to sort that out. The message that repeatedly says needs unrotten horn body part.
Is that just a standard message? I mean, does it come up that way regardless of whether you run out of horn or whether you have a zillion horn that are all rotten?
It's almost impossible for a horn to rot. So yes, it's.
We just need to run out of horn in general.
Yes, we have no horns to carve. How do you expect us to carve a horn without a horn? Oh yes, I had a simple plan that I wanted to do, which was to further restrict traffic in here to tell people avoid going into a square next to the hole unless you really need to. So that should encourage people to walk around the edge of the room if they need to do something on the far side of the hole, which ought to help a little. Because we had a bit of a problem of people fleeing from the pit because it was too scary.
I am a dwarf and I'm circumnavigating a hole.
Yes. What's that 2 there? Is that a random tooth or something? Yes, that's no use. I mean, okay, you've managed to remove an entire leg of of that zombie rhinoceros with your crossbow. I am fairly impressed, I think. Castot and Ostath.
With silver bolts, are those effective against zombies for traditional reasons?
I don't think so. I think they're just like, yes. But you have, indeed... Yes, okay, left front leg, left front foot, left rear leg, left rear foot, right rear foot are all missing from this. I mean, in addition to most of the innards. Like you've at least reduced this rhinoceros to only having 1.5 legs, which is, I suppose, a triumph of a sort if you were to be sensible enough as to stand more than a yard away from it, because at the moment it can still attack you.
This seems suboptimal. Also, they're Mark's dwarves. Surely they can do this from a little bit further away.
Yes, you might think that.
I think this because I have tactical nous or something slightly better than a stun mustard.
Yes, I'm just wondering if I should do something about this, because that Mark's dwarf is still alive. But this kind of heroic, yes, let's open the gate in order to let the Mark's dwarf get in, inevitably ends in mass death. Because I've done this before. Or just mass embarrassment. Like, the Mark's dwarf in question runs in completely the wrong direction and ends up getting gored vigorously. So I think I'm not going to attempt this. Amusing though it is when I try it. Oh, also the Mark's dwarf's just lost a leg. Right, you don't stand a chance if you've lost your own legs. Bye bye. Bye bye. Right. So, how are we doing with mining? Is someone doing it yet? No, because for some reason one of my miners believes that today is the day for making silk cloth. And yeah, we have a certain amount of let us store all the things in the stockpile, because with the death of the merchants, the fortress has thus declared that everything that they brought with them is now ours. And so all of the stuff in that they brought with them is now getting carefully organised. Interrupted by cat corpse there. Oh, right. But a cat versus even someone with an injured miner with a convenient crutch is enough to... Oh, thank you, Jacob, who has looked up what rhino horns are made of, and apparently the centres of horns have dense mineral deposits of calcium and melanin. So, like, maybe you would treat that as bones. Hmm?
Melanin's a mineral.
I don't see why it shouldn't be.
I don't know, but yes. So now,
You have an internet.
okay, where was that rhinoceros corpse, and do I care about it? You were there, and you were interrupted by a rhinoceros corpse. I'm fairly sure there isn't one here. Like, you know, I think they're all outside the front door, which is on the other side of a raised drawbridge from you, in order to make your life less terrifying.
Has this worked?
Don't know. I'm just generally worried by anyone who says interrupted by rhinoceros corpse. No, they all seem to be being interrupted in that room. But I don't think there's actually a rhinoceros in that room. So I'm going to watch fairly carefully. If someone was shooting something. Yeah, that was just the miner beating the dead cat to further death. Okay, that's someone on the surface. Oh dear, we have... yes, okay, that's... We do have a couple of live dwarves on the surface there. How did we get there? I thought I got everyone indoors. Right. In a fit of optimism there, then... since there are several dwarves alive on the surface, I'm going to request everyone get back behind the door. Who are you and why do you keep shooting in that direction? Whatever it is, you're not... Oh, right, there. Yeah, that was quite some time ago, though. I think. I mean, the last time you actually shot anything was down there, as we would expect, yes. So I don't quite know why you're shooting in that direction. Let's just ask you... I've forgotten who it was now. Everyone's an elite Marks dwarf these days. Area gets here. Thing Urem. No. S. B. E. Move. Just get back behind that door. So my hope is that that will... No, what? That's the wrong direction. Oh right, you're picking up all of your crossbow bolts, are you? What? There must be a connection between the thing and the boss name that I don't know about. Because I'm pretty sure you're not meant to be able to get through there. Right. Yes, I have a dwarf leak. I have a wall, bridge. Dead grass all up there. Sandy loam, dead grass, limestone. How do I have a dwarf leak? I think that bridge should be keeping everyone in. That's a continuous wall along there. Bridge, more wall. Oh. Slightly concerned by that hole, but that's well on the far side of the thing. Right.
I need to turn it into some kind of snooze mist.
I mean, it looked from the direction they were shooting in as if they thought there was a hole around here somewhere. Oh, I just spotted an open space. There's a hole there. We have indeed a dwarf leak, and I have found the hole.
You didn't have to hold the whole fortress underwater to find bubbles.
No, there it is. If you go up a layer, there's another hole. Where does that hole lead? Now that hole we know about. That was the original entrance to the fort. This hole, however, is not one we wanted. And is why someone was trying to shoot upwards through it. Right, okay. Does this fact help me in the slightest? And the problem is that as of this version of Dwarf Fortress, dwarves can climb. So they can get themselves out of this sort of hole and go in search of things to kill. Right, so I have asked all of the civilians to come back in, which I hope they will do by just jumping back down this hole. The bit up and left, that patch here, this patch here is, I think, not a problem because that's all outside the drawbridge. So I don't think we need to worry about that. So let me see. I'm going to... also instruct the creative entries to get the hell away from that door, come back inside where it's kind of safe. And then, yes. So what this means in the longer term is that antechamber is not currently safe. I think there is, I think, a problem that if you cut down trees, they often leave holes in the ground. Yes, or rather not stumped. I think the stump gets removed and then there's a hole and then things get into your fortress. So it's possible that I should be a little bit careful since we have a lot of things 1Z level below the surface. Where are you going? I instructed you to station quite a long way away from there. So you're going to pick up your equipment from... Right, I think for reasons of safety... Yeah, this is... Right, there's an awful lot of rubbish lying around and I want people not to be trying to pick it up. So, forbid, for now, everything outside the door. We can unforbid it later. Similarly, let us forbid essentially everything on the surface for now. That will discourage people from trying to pick it up. I can do this by volume, can't I? Right. So now there is a general instruction. Anything that's on the surface, don't touch it. And anything that's in the trade depot for now, until we can seal that. What, did someone just randomly give birth or something? No, okay. Oh, who's the poor infant who's accidentally ended up on the wrong side of something? What are you doing in that staircase? I mean, I appreciate it's probably not the worst place to be, but... You idiot, what are you doing? Who are you anyway? Ushre Estavazos. Oops. Well, don't take your baby to the surface. Where is that Ushre thingy what's face? Oh, that one, yes, right. Okay, yes, you were indeed happily shooting the thing, and then ran up to it to hit it with your crossbow, you stoat. I mean... Really, this is not going to end well for anyone who's on the surface. Appears to be a live baby there. Why is the surface covered in babies? This is not helpful. I mean, the baby is heading in a reasonably sensible direction, but... I think I may as well open that drawbridge just to make sure everyone's route finding finds a way in. On the grounds that there is already a way in. What I want to do is, and if I open the door, then maybe people will find the way in. This will, of course, destroy a couple of corpses. Splot, right. No, don't go out! That's out, that's not in. I'm going to instruct you to come a long way into the fort. Come down here. All of you. Maybe you won't then consider going outside to be a sensible way to get there. Is that door currently unlocked? Yes. Okay, right. That's... I'm going to be patient about this zombie rhino, even if it does kill some more. Incoming! Someone's actually making it into the fort. Well done. Well done, that miner. We have successfully saved someone. What? Stop going out. No. Look, civilians are all meant to be inside. That means not in that area where you currently are. Right, view job. You're trying to bury someone's tooth. Can I... I go to object, not easily. Now, I don't think I've defined outside as inside.
What shaking is all about.
There's no inside marked out here. Possibly there's a bunch more items that have appeared because they were previously people. Let's just forbid some more items and hope for the best. Right. Now, apparently you still think why can't I view job, but I don't then seem to have an option to do anything with the I mean, I can gratuitously remove people from the jobs, which might help briefly. Oh, that's helped briefly. Okay, there appear to be some objects down here that need forbidding again. Don't go over there. Okay, what job do you think you're doing now? And I kind of expect that the fact that there's a zombie a zombie like 3 meters away from you will cause you to run like hell. Right, I'm locking the door once you're on the correct side of it. If you don't turn round and immediately go back again, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. Right. Correct side of door. Antechamber is completely full of rhinos. No one is going back out there. Anyone who is out there is probably going to die. I think actually though, this may be a bit optimistic. I'm going to unlock these 2 floor hatches to allow the staircase via the caverns to be open, because I think the rhinoceroses have pretty terrible route finding. Plus, they are about to blunder into a load of cage traps, so you know maybe we'll get lucky.
Route finding is 124 squares in any direction.
Yeah, precisely. Go on, wander into the cage traps. Twang, twang. Excellent. Neither of those was a rhinoceros, but it wasn't. They were zombies.
I actually think the cage traps go twang.
I think they go twang. Curiously, this zombie rhino doesn't seem to think.
I know why the cage trap twang is.
Doesn't. Thank you. I think this zombie rhino isn't interested in my bait pig. Look, I've given you a whole pig here. But apparently you don't care about the pig. So what's in those cages anyway? I'm curious. There's a tamed rabbit, presumably tamed, a zombie dwarf, and a zombie bit of a dwarf. Right, so I think the situation now is that we are correctly sealed from the surface. We can't safely get back into the trade depot at the moment because it has a leak. We may as well close that drawbridge again, I think, just to make it easier for the zombie rhinos to leave. And whether we successfully actually got anyone out, whether we managed to save more people than we lost in that debacle, I'm not sure. Meanwhile, is anyone doing this mining I asked for? No, is I think the answer. Possibly because all the miners kept wanting to put things in tombs instead. Oh, and we can now go... Well, actually, yeah, I should check. Is there anyone currently in the reserve staircase, or indeed...
Stop exploding.
Okay, there's someone in that staircase. If they're heading down, I should let them carry on. They are, right. Okay. I think that's probably everyone. You appear to be going... You appear to be dithering. Okay, you've headed down too. Is that staircase now empty of people? Okay, there appears to be a bard at the top of that staircase. Jacob asked the entirely sensible question, does the deep mine count as inside? And I think the answer is no, which is part of why no one is currently mining down there, which is why I am checking the state of some staircases to work out whether I can seal them in order that it's then safe for me to turn off the inside restriction. That bard does not appear to be interested in coming in that they're running away from the staircase. Oh, they're coming back now. Okay, looks like they're trying to get in, so I'll let them, injured though they are, make their way in. Oh dear, we need to slaughter some more pigs. Right, so they're now inside. Right, now are we in a position where we can seal that staircase? That's a rhinoceros corpse. We don't want to let that in. So there's no one else near the top of that staircase. That's not lava, is it? No, it's a pool of blood. Blood. That's a dead cat. Right, so I now think it's safe to, good night, lock that and that, and then it's safe, oops, no, to allow civilians anywhere that they can physically reach. There are lots of places they can't physically reach. Anywhere they can reach is fair game. Just having a quick look to see what we have kicking around. Anything surprising? Not really. Someone thinks it's their job to go digging. Let's watch them. they're also injured. How are they injured? Or rather, what are they injured? Generally just a bit battered, it looks like. Yeah, someone basically an injured, rather battered foot. Alright, you're going to do a little bit of the gem mining I asked for. And then you're going to go and store the gems you just dug up. Well, I suppose if you want to... Oh, we have found a second layer of caverns. In the granite. Granite being known for its cavern forming potential. Well, it's fairly clear there's been a lot of death in these caverns even before we got down here. So you have some new kinds of underground tree in the form of tunnel tubes and goblin cap and black cap, as well as the familiar tower caps that I think we've seen higher up. Yes, we have crundles as well, which are... oh, I'll look them up. Crundles, small imp-like reptilian creatures that roam the caverns in great packs under the earth. Tend to be weak and cowardly even in packs, usually of 17, and are not especially aggressive. Least dangerous of all underground creatures. Which is probably why most of the ones we can see down here are dead. There's some alive things. There's zombie crundles. And a zombie blind cave ogre. They've brought a zombie blind cave ogre. Or something. No, that's just blood, Ian. It's not magma. Okay, lots of zombies down here. Because the wildlife has been happily slaughtering one another. The magma, I feel I should point out, is aspirational magma. We are hoping for magma. What we have found is zombie blind cave ogres, which I think I shall have to look up just to know whether they're kind of scary or terrifying. But highly aggressive, will gleefully destroy anything that isn't a wall or fortification between them and your dwarves. Despite being blind, they have extra vision and are thus quite capable of sensing exactly where your doors are. Oh, and they can swim. You do not want to underestimate these monsters. Significantly larger than elephants. Engage them with traps, crossbows, and large numbers.
1,000,003.
Um, it's quite a large number, yes. Right. Zombie giant cave ogres, we really, really don't want to get close to them. I have the biggest view, please. If I press tab often enough, will the side panel go away entirely? Apparently not. Right, and based on this, the fact that that blind cave ogre corpse is right down towards the bottom of the others category indicates that it has been there probably since pretty much the start of the game. And that's why there are so many dead bodies in that layer of the caverns, because there's this blind cave ogre. Right, so cage traps are probably the way to go with that. But I think a higher priority is stopping the bloody thing getting in. Okay, we apparently can't install a floor hatch unless we can get alongside it. So we'll put the, but that's fine. Let's just check where our miners are. You're all the way up there. You're there. And you're all on no job. You are still on your way back up from that hole. So I should check, I should track you. It's that one, isn't it? Yes. Presumably because you've just... So it's this one who will be the one coming out. I think I should just slap a floor hatch at the first place where I can. Why is there someone down here with a... Oh, I'm going the wrong way, aren't I? I think they've actually taken on the job of installing that floor hatch, so... And are currently suffering route finding problems. Right, have grabbed floor hatch. We'll now head back down and install that floor hatch, hopefully before the zombie giant blind cave ogre makes it to the relevant place. Right, so now what I want to check is there... What are you doing down there? You've decided you need to store an item in a stockpile, have you? So where? Like, you can't surely expect to get out down there. There doesn't appear to be any loose granite around unless... Alright, you've already picked up the thing you're trying to haul. Okay. So are you on your way up? Yes. Good. Right, so now there's the floor hatch. Right, so I think we have no dwarves below the floor hatch, the new floor hatch, so we can lock that. And I think Claire asks, was that missing visiting traders? No, I think our trader, that was one of our one of our people who was skilled in those things which are useful for trading, has been missing for a while because they went out on the surface and got murdered. Well, got killed by the things. Zombie rhinoceroses, which are now only the second most scary thing in the world. So that, I think that floor hatch should be proof against a building destroying rhinoceros. I'm just wondering if I go further and build an actual floor above it just to be on the safe side. Can I just go BCF and ask to install a floor here? Yes. So I've now asked to install a solid floor above that, the one floor above the floor hatch, just to be on the safe side, because I have a feeling there are some weird behaviours about building destroyers. Probably what we should do about this giant cave, this zombie blind cave ogre, is to attempt to cage trap it, because you can lure them in by cage traps in a narrow passage with some care. So that's the plan in due course. But of course we're not here for the blind cave ogre, we're here for the magma. Problem is that we've pierced this cavern and now we need to find a way around the cavern. Yes, indeed, the magma may be useful for our purposes. So I would like to find a position that there's a solid pillar of rock around here. How close can we get to our existing staircase and still find a... So that, if we dig a staircase about here, we can get round that cavern without actually penetrating it, I think. So mark that to be dug out as a staircase. then a horizontal corridor connecting us up to there. Then that should enable us to get further in. We seem to have a slight problem of undead cats in this place now. Yeah, so you can see on this, in this layer of the caverns, we actually have a nice line of cage traps leading into the fortress, so as to encourage creatures to get cage trapped. So we might hope that we could do something similar in the new layer. And that should then... what's going on there? What's all those tildery things? Oh right, that's a that's a lot of troll blood, right, yes. And like, if we can get the blind cave ogre out, then this is someone going down to build that bit of floor I asked for, so as to make extra certain that the blind cave ogre can't get out. They have at least managed not to seal themselves on the wrong side of the floor. Oh. But apparently if you install a floor halfway down a staircase, that removes the upstairs from that square. And I can't install upstairs there now because there's some floor there, so I have to go remove construction, that floor. I do hope the someone is dealing with the mining up above. I do hope that the blind cave ogre can't remove that floor hatch from below easily. While we remove this floor, so yes, you can insert a floor hatch in a staircase easily. Yes, I could make stairs next to the stairs, but I think if I make an upstairs here, we'll be fine. Yes, I think upstairs don't have a hole below them. So once the floor that this dwarf just installed gets removed, once they remove it, then they can install some upstairs instead, which is what I should actually have asked for. I think upstairs have an implicit floor. Why do people keep coming to visit us? Look, you're not going to have a good day. Like, if you're sensible, you will hide on the edge of the map and then leave again. If you're not sensible... Lost the fortress. You will get murdered by zombie rhinoceroses. Okay, why are you not removing that? I think I may have to Dizzyat's suggestion and dig an additional staircase just to let this person out. Actually, so down staircase designated there, up staircase designated there. Don't bother removing that floor. It's a bit of a mess, but it'll probably do. Yeah, this miner is sorting out the stairs. How are you going to go somewhere? Oh no, right, no. Someone else is responsible for digging the upper section of that staircase, apparently. Well, I'm sure they'll get right onto it. It's nice. What do you want us to construct? You think we need spears, do you? Not sure we have any. I mean, we could probably make some out of silver, I suppose. To be honest, I'm not expecting any other caverns we find to be much more friendly than these ones. Oh, the dwarven baby on the... We're going to get zombie babies, aren't we? I can just tell. I mean, maybe we won't get many because babies are fairly squishy. So, like, they're liable to be destroyed rather than left intact enough to come back to life. That certainly looks like the kind of death that's not going to leave the baby sufficiently injured to not come back to life. So I think zombie babies are in our future. But I suspect they're about as scary as zombie cats. You bash them with the nearest convenient object. Warm stone located. So that's intriguing. So we know that that square there is warm, which probably means that adjacent to it in some direction there is some magma. So if we kind of dig a few more staircases so that we can see the squares below, this might give us some idea of what we're facing below. Right, so that kind of suggests that the magma is one Z level below the staircase. So let's not have our main staircase plummet straight down into magma, because then if someone falls down the stairs they're going to have a really bad time of it. I mean, what I'm digging here now is looking completely mad. Let's cancel most of it and think a bit about where we want to go. So one thing we want to do is to make sure that this section can also be isolated. What? I didn't know that. What? Excuse me. Let's install the floor hatch at the top of that staircase. An incredibly over-what's-named floor hatch. So we haven't seen any magma, but we have found some warm granite, which probably means that there's magma just below it. Yes, the wear monitor is the bit that I was just going, what about? Because apparently we have a ghostly wear monitor. And apparently ghosts of wear monitors still transform every full moon. Now, we don't like ghosts because ghosts in particular unlock doors. So I'm going to attempt to lay its spirit to rest. Yes, we sent them all out to their noble deaths and they consequently died and have thus come back as ghosts because we never went out to retrieve their corpses because rhinoceroses. Right, name. There are two of them. They're together. How sweet, I think. Maybe they're not. Oh no! What? Is that two creatures there then? Are those both? Oh no, it appears to be the same person, just their name appears twice. Right, that's all right then. So, yes, Ubelnakas Viranen needs to be memorialised. So I can remove that sidebar. Oh, that probably depends on what mode I'm in, doesn't it? Right, Ubelnakas Viranen needs to be memorialised. Be memorialised pronto. Oh yes, I should cancel the orders of my military, who were ordered to get the hell out of the surface, you idiots. But can now come back. Are now allowed to do things again. There is an enormous cloud of miasma rising from our entrance. That message, on the other hand, probably does indicate something's rotted. That's a rather odd object, a creature of ages granite hair earring. So, what was I just thinking about, and why have I been running this unpaused for a little while? Because nothing's actually happening. So, let's get back down to where we might have some magma and think about how we're going to expose it. And assign a hotkey to... Oh, yeah, I didn't want the help. Get me back out of here. Right. So, let's assign a hotkey to here. But excuse me while I get terribly confused by the user interface. Big H for hotkeys. F5 should be set to zoom here. Right. So I think if we were to penetrate this level, we would find that the level below contained magma. So I think what I ought to be able to safely do is something like up, down, stair. Let's be a reasonable distance away from where all the excitement is. So the magma should not rise. Once we make a hole. I'm now wondering if I want to risk... No, I'm reasonably confident in this. I think that this digging out this should be just about safe. Okay, we somehow managed to discover that we are a barony, and therefore some bugger has been made a baron. That's just in the usual place, right? Yes, your dwarven baby has, I'm afraid, probably been killed. If it doesn't rise, how do you raise it? Asks Diziat. Well, that's a good question. Yes, that's the next question. So there are based on the wiki, there are 3 reasonable ways to get magma from where we currently are, about 118 Z levels below the surface, to where we want to be, which is 1 Z level below the surface. So one is, as Pink Beast suggests, pumps. We could build, if we have enough magma-safe material, we could build a stack of pumps, 117 Z levels tall. That means we need 117 pumps. And pump the magma all the way up to the surface. But we need power for this, because pumps can't power themselves, and we don't have 117 dwarves to operate the pumps. So we could do this so we need some sort of mechanical power source. One possibility is to construct windmills on the surface. Slight problem that the surface is full of zombie rhinoceroses. One possibility is to build water wheels on the river on the surface. See previous comment about zombie rhinoceroses. Though we could at least probably seal those up if we had temporary access to the surface. Another possibility is to gratuitously exploit the game's incapability of getting conservation of energy right, and build something that provides fake flowing water to drive a water wheel to drive all of the pumps, which is kind of cheating, really. Well, it's a bit cheaty. So that's the first approach, is a pump stack of phenomenal proportions. So the second approach is what is known as a magma piston, which is also a bit exploity. It relies on the fact that if you drop solid rock into a fluid in Dwarf Fortress, the fluid gets teleported to above the solid rock, which is a perfectly sensible way of dealing with, like, dropping a few Z levels worth of cave-in into a pool of water. But if you make your solid rock 117 Z levels tall and drop an entire pillar of solid rock, then the magma at the bottom can be teleported 117 Z levels up to the top. This is, of course, a terribly delicate process, since it involves then catching that magma once it has teleported up, and ideally pouring water on it so as to convert it into obsidian, so that you have a continuous supply of rock. Oh, and plus you have to find a way to get this entire column of rock solid all the way from the magma that you're dealing with up to the surface. So that might be a bit entertaining. The third approach is that you just build magma-safe minecarts and fill the magma fill the minecarts with magma, and then, well, either you build tracks to push the minecarts all the way up to the surface, or you get some magma-safe wheelbarrows and stick the minecarts in wheelbarrows and just push the wheelbarrows up to the surface. So I think those are our 3 possibilities. Since we don't want much magma, I'm inclined to go for the minecarts. But we will still need some magma-safe minecarts. Pink Beast has suggested that you buy a bag of magma from the trade caravan. I will point out that, one, you can't put magma in bags, I think. Maybe you can make bags out of adamantine? Maybe you can make magma-safe bags? I don't think you can make magma-safe bags. And second, no one sells magma anyway. Why would you sell your magma? You have much better uses for magma. And no, obviously you don't put magma in barrels. They catch fire, I mean, really. Unless they're made of nethercap, in which case they might work, but we haven't found any nethercap yet. Anyway, let's unpause and see whether anyone's going to come and deal with this. Digging this hole. Here comes someone to dig the hole. Right. Let's just hope this doesn't cause a catastrophic explosion. Yes. Diz points out that Pink Beast also suggested moving the toxic nuclear zombie bunker closer to the magma rather than vice versa. Shan't. So we could do that, but that would then mean that all things that we want to dispose of thereafter, we have to haul all the way down to the magma sea, which is an awfully long way. Like, I think we want to move the magma to the zombies rather than the zombies to the magma. We have discovered a great magma sea. We have discovered raw adamantine. We've discovered a lot of raw adamantine. Right. Our miner is sensibly running like hell from the magma. So, what we have down here then, so this layer, so first, if magma behaved like a sensible fluid, the fact that this layer is filled with magma to 1Z level above my staircase would indeed, if this were water, have caused this level to flood. Though not this level, because it doesn't look like there's any magma sea at this level. Yes. So it would have flooded this level, but the dwarf didn't actually set foot in this level, so that's not too bad. So we have this layer of magma. So note these are all labelled magma 7 of 7. We have some spires of adamantine. And we have some semi-molten rock. And some magma flow. And there's all sorts of weird behaviour with this kind of magma, but most of it we don't care about. So, we now have access to some magma. But we're out of hatch covers. So I think I'm immediately going to floor over that again, now that we know where the magma is. And then set about working out what we can do. So what do we have by way of stone stocks? Not stone stocks, metal stocks, if anything. So there is some iron and steel available. But it's all currently inaccessible because zombie rhinos, which are still out there, just in case you were wondering. Yes, we can't actually make minecarts out of soap just yet. So yes, I think all of the iron and steel, which would be the obvious materials to make things out of, are currently in the trade depot and hence not conveniently accessible to us. Technically, of course, we could melt other things down. In order to get some steel, but that doesn't really seem like a sensible plan either. Like we could go are there any crossbow bolts or whatever, steel crossbow bolts kicking around. There are some, but not very many unforbidden ones. Have one anvil that's not in the trade depot. I think the only things you can make usefully magma safe minecarts out of are iron, steel and nickel. Just quickly checking the no, that wasn't what I meant. I think we are not currently in a position to make mine carts, because yes, you can make a mine cart out of wood or metal, and the magma safe metals are adamantine. Well, yes, technically we have access to adamantine. No, I'm not going to go mining it. Iron, nickel, pig iron, platinum or steel. And I don't think we have. We even have some platinum available, though I don't think that's enough to make a minecart out of. And really, that would be a bit mad. You only have a little bit of steel and not much iron, actually. So we can probably only make one minecart. Meanwhile, what can we make pumps out of? That's more complicated. So here's our list. So pump components mostly need what's so a magma safe screw pump requires a corkscrew, a block and a pipe section. Corkscrews can be made from metal. I think you can also make them from wood, but that's not very helpful. All trap components can be made out of metal or glass. And some can also be made out of wood. So, yeah, we're going to need a block at least is we can make out of stone. And pipe sections again are going to need metal. Yes. We really need more steel if we're going to. I mean, even if we're using minecarts, we're going to need two. I think the sensible way to do this involves having a couple of screw pumps, which means we're going to need quite a lot of metal to get there. And yes, as Dizzy says, 117 pumps are going to use 117 times more magma safe stuff than one minecart. To a first approximation, yes. So I think given our stocks, the only technique we have a hope of, and this is probably going to require us to get some more stuff, is Ooh, excuse me. We have sand. Sand can be used to make glass. Excuse me while I look up the glass industry. Excuse me while I look up sand. 5 different colours of sand: yellow sand, white sand, black sand and red sand. And tan sand. The only difference is appearance. There's no difference between them for glass making. Right, so I think this, we have one layer. So our fortress goes sandy loam, black sand, clay, damp sand. Oh right, that which I think is sand but is damp. Limestone. So that black sand layer, I think we can harvest sand from. If we take sand from there, we can then use that to produce glass pumps and not mine carts. So the mine carts will still be a problem, but we can at least, so in theory we could thus construct an entire 117 Z levels worth of glass pumps, but I think we could at least do some of the work and limit the amount of steel we need by doing most of this in pumps. So I think to save on, I did designate something down there, right, so I think thus we should dig out. I think actually we should not do things down here. We should do things on the floor that's above the highest point in the magma sea, because then if we accidentally pressurize the magma sea, we will not be seriously unhappy. So I think what I want to do is to dig a corridor over to somewhere above the magma and carve out a room there, and then another room, that's fine if you're just shooting people in there. So yes, I'm going to run on for a little bit because I think we should reach the point of actually starting our glass manufacturing. Ah yes, we had a thing, oh gods, yes, and that. So first let us place that memorial. Second, let us go. Oh gods, we've got a sodding baron. Dacost Adriel Ficod is now the Baroness of Nosetools, and so she demands stuff. And will get gradually more and more annoyed if she hasn't got it. But apparently likes being close to tables. So Dacost Adrilficod. Where's her bedroom? Let's sort that out first. You appear to have an unoccupied office. That's a bit weird. And an unoccupied grand bedroom. Well, since that bedroom is owned by no one, Dacost, have our best bedroom. Right, well that's made her happier. And apparently we also have a spare office, albeit probably not at quite the level she's hoping for. That was the former mayor's office. Has someone been... Right, how's she feeling now then? She now has a modest office and would like it slightly more decent, and a modest dining room which she would like slightly more decent, which we can probably deal with by sticking chests, cabinets, weapon racks and armour stands in there. Okay, we're going to want some of them then. Chests, cabinets, armour stand and weapon rack. Right, so that's Baroness Adrilficod's closer to being happy. Is anyone going to come down here and deal with this? I mean, I appreciate it's quite a long way down. Right, our ghostly were-dwarf were-monitor mace dwarf has been put to rest. Meanwhile, the mayor is apparently quite happy with what they have, but would like us to make some spears. Has done a bit of digging, and then owing to the weird way in which digging gets allocated, has pissed off because someone else is going to do the next bit. Right, and we have now floored over that first staircase down into the thing. We've built most of some of Dacost's furniture, so let's install it. We could decorate it first, but let's put it in. And the easy way to increase value of things is to of rooms is just to engrave them. Actually, wouldn't we have a masterpiece siltstone cabinet? Limestone cabinet. Oh right, that's fine then. Wondering where we got siltstone from. Just want to check. You okay, you're about as good as you're going to get. Right. It's perfectly safe. We know what's going on. Stop fretting. So the reason why I don't really want... Well, there are several reasons why I don't just want to hurl things deep into the magma. One is it's going to require an awful lot of digging, which requires quite a bit of care. And another is that the undead are quite useful for target practice. So being in a situation where I can where I have somewhere where the undead can be put, but which I can clear out by pouring magma into it briefly, feels to me a better situation than somewhere where where essentially once I've hurled the undead in, they will never be usable again. Also, it's just going to be much more amusing to have magma up near the surface. Like we can find a way to start using it against the zombie rhinos on the surface, I'm sure. So, like, also I've done that one. I'm admittedly in a different fortress. I dug into a volcano and threw rubbish into it, and it kind of worked. But, like, it's not very dramatic. So what I'm having to do here is repeatedly say, yes, I'm pretty confident it's safe for you to carry on digging horizontally. Here we are above the magma sea, and I think we're going to stay above it. I think. Because curiously, magma is sufficiently transparent that once we've found the magma sea, we can we know where its boundaries are. And so we can be fairly sure that we're not going to randomly stumble across more magma here. So, down here we are going to want the place where we extract magma in order to pump it upstairs, which I think I'm going to consider to be this room. So I'm going to leave this room unoccupied, and then the next room will be where we install a magma glass furnace in order to make glass, because obviously we don't want to waste precious charcoal on making glass when we can do it with magma. We'll probably install a full set of magma workshops down here eventually, since we want the glass down here anyway. We may as well we may as well build the furnace down here and haul the sand down rather than hauling the glass down. Well, that's nice for them. Oh, there's our new arrival. Right. I mean, much though I would love to find a way to get you into the fort. Well, I mean, just in case it'll help. Have a meeting area outside the front of the fort so that you know where you could go. I mean, it won't go well for you, but what we are making out of glass, Claire, is the pumps for getting the magma out of the magma sea and into some mine carts. Not that we're quite clear on where we're getting the mine carts from yet. Because glass is magma safe. Oh, we found some gems down here. That's nice. Kind of suspect auto mining this is just going to be a nightmare. Let's not bother. Yeah, that's just the... Yeah, that's not of any interest at all. Right. We have really good glass, Pink Beast. Right, so we're going to want a furnace in the form of a magma glass furnace. Needs magma safe building material, non-economic item. Okay, yes, I need to pay attention to whether we actually have any suitable rock. Where's my page on magma safety? Which is not really about safety around magma, it's about not melting when you weren't expecting it to. We've got orthoclase, haven't we, if we need it? I think we've got orthoclase. I may be confused. Definitely got microcline. Right, yes. I think we might need an orthoclase mine then. What else have we got by way? So, don't think we have any alunite, anhydrite, basalt, bauxite, calcite, chert, chromite, dolomite, gabbro. We've got gabbro too. I mean, but it would obviously be more fun to make things out of orthoclase than out of gabbro. So let's start out as though on the assumption that we're just building rooms in this layer for no good reason. not designate these great long corridors. Because frankly, either the orthoclase or the gabbro will be fine. It's just that orthoclase is yellow and gabbro is grey. So now, can I just tell my mason's workshop, make blocks out of orthoclase. Maybe a slight problem that it can't make blocks out of orthoclase because it's currently configured to take only from that stockpile. Let's do this in a slightly silly way. Since hauling that rock up by hand is going to be slow, let us construct a temporary stone stockpile here that just takes orthoclase. Right, we have and that has wheelbarrow assigned to it, and let's reduce the wheelbarrows for that one by one. Try to make sure we end up with a wheelbarrow actually assigned to that. Okay, yes, that's and we set this to give to that workshop. Right, so that should now get us a special orthoclase stockpile on the staircase. All being well, we'll have a there we are, orthoclase to be moved using a bitter orange wood wheelbarrow to the orthoclase stockpile. Once that orthoclase arrives, then we can use that to build some blocks, some magma safe blocks, which we can then use not only to build pumps but also to build our magma glass furnace. Right, we have some orthoclase in the stockpile. So now please make some blocks out of orthoclase. We should need one block, one collection of blocks for the furnace and two for the two screw pumps we need. So one batch of orthoclase blocks should be enough. Here is our mason dragging his or her big pile of orthoclase, being confused by a cat and thus taking the long way round Stoats. Yeah, route finding this fortress is sometimes a bit of a problem. Dizzy, no, I'm not intending glass mine carts. I think I'm hoping that the zombie rhinoceroses will go away at some point, and then I'll be able to get the... I think the zombie rhinoceroses have gone away. And then I'll be able to get my... get out to the trade depot and seize all the metal from the trade depot and convert that into mine carts. Indeed, I think maybe just about safe to go up to the surface now. Just going to add another construct autoclaves blocks job because I think we're probably going to need more of them. So I think that the surface is currently relatively safe. Like, you know, it's got various of our recent immigrants not being viciously killed by zombie rhinoceroses, which is a pretty good indication that it's a fairly safe place to be. So I'm going to be marginally brave, only marginally brave, unlock that door, and build a floor there. Oh, and open the drawbridge. Yes, I mean, there is a danger that something catastrophic will happen when I do this, but, you know. Right, and now build a floor over. In particular, there's still a zombie dwarf there. They're out of limestone blocks. So that actually says to me that I should send my kind of halfway competent military to mass on the surface. Because there are some zombies around still. Like there. Look, I was hoping that we could get the military up there before someone randomly wandered out and rapidly dispatched the zombie. Okay. Yeah, maybe I didn't need the military for that, given that there's someone there with who is really effective with that. It appears that most of my audience is going to sleep. So in that case, how are we doing? Okay, well, we'll carry on for a little bit then. So let's get me to the point where I want to stop, which is fairly soon. I think once we've tidied up some of the mess that we're currently in, by which I mostly mean, right, so we have now sealed that hole in the floor that was causing trouble. Let's get to the point where we can actually make glass, because that I think will be a nice place to be. So we now have some materials we can use, but I think they may not be helpful. Right, we have orthoglazed blocks. So we need to be slightly careful here, because a magma furnace, in order to work, needs access to magma, which means we need to make a hole in the floor. Holes in the floor over magma are, of course, an excellent way for dwarves to be stupid, fall in them and catch fire. So what we want to do is to make sure that the hole is in one of the impassable squares of the furnace, which in the case of a magma glass furnace appears to be the north central square. So we want to cut a hole in the floor here. Yes, Claire is quite correct. Any dwarf that falls into the magma will only do it once, and they will probably not turn into a zombie because their corpse will be comprehensively destroyed. Still, we would quite like dwarves not to fall into holes in the floor and catch fire and die, if we can avoid it. So we'll place this furnace in such a way that people won't fall through it. We now just have a rather long wait while a miner gets all the way down here. Yeah, right, none of the fights currently going on are a problem. I think we can cancel their orders. Let them go back to their normal lives. And I think I'm going to now be slightly brave, but not very, and reclaim everything inside here. So actually we also want to build a magma forge, probably. So where are all my miners? Right, they're all faffing around. Also, given the number of deaths there have been, they're probably now in need of installing more coffins. Let's fill those rooms with coffins at least. So we have a caged. None of those is something I want to. But that one's tame. That one's tame. And that is admittedly an untamed giant rat. So first two tamed ones we can just let out of their cages. Need more of these that probably have something uninteresting in. Is there a view item? That one's tame. So that one is not tame. We'll worry about it in a bit. That one is definitely not tame. Those ones don't have anything interesting in them. Should allow the dwarves to reorganise the cages a bit. Sure that all of my coffins can be used, because I think that they're going to be needed. As quite plausibly are the where are the no, they're still the miners are all busy organising things, putting things where they belong, that kind of stuff. So remove those walls. Install some cage traps at that entrance. Essentially everyone, or at least an awful lot of people, are now moving things around because, well, we've got all the contents of that last trade caravan that we might be able to do things with. Plus there's an awful lot of dead people who need to be properly buried. I want to pay fairly close attention to the unit list in case something scary turns up while everyone is reorganising the world. Which subject? Let's dispose of some more objects. So what's in these cages then? That one contains a giant rat, that one contains a goose, that one contains a dwarf. That one contains a gander, that one contains another goose. Right, does install more cages in sensible places where we can then release things like geese from them, because we really don't need to waste cages on geese. So people are still getting scared of the things down in the pit, which is kind of unfortunate. For all that I try to encourage them to root not via there. And look, you can see there, those dwarves stepped smartly away from the pit, having picked up their cages, and thus didn't get scared. Right, so now we have the hole there that we want to drop our furnace into, or over. You can see the red tildes indicating that it's a that there's magma beneath, and there indeed you can see that block of granite that we just dug out sinking into the magma. I'll make sure that that's good. That means that one of the last batch of coffins that I marked as safe to use for burial has in fact not had anyone assigned to it, which suggests that maybe, just maybe, it will be possible to we will actually have enough coffins for everyone. Right. Meanwhile, now I think I'm not going to start moving. Yeah, that's to be expected. This is going to involve a lot of job cancellation. We have an architect, I wonder. So, yes, and I suspect we're just in a situation where we probably have there's probably someone who's already assigned to build that, isn't there? Yes. Someone is on their way down here to design our magma smelter. Magma glass furnace, sorry. I suppose following our usual rules we should also put some doors in down here, shouldn't we? Might be an argument for making them magma safe, but What, I mean, I presume that's just another thing down there, but I don't even know what a Monera is. I'm going to have to look them up. And like, I'd heard of Crundles. Monera are rare, evil-aligned, four-armed creatures found in subterranean caverns. Not really a serious problem. Yes, okay, I don't think we need to worry about them, happily. That's the last of the squares designated for a second time after we discovered it was warm. There's probably a more efficient way to do this, but it may involve making all of these rooms 2 floors high or something. But someone is coming in to install the doors. Hoping that someone will be interrupted by a 2-humped camel. Is there an unhappy camel around? Possibly. So yes, it looks like we have plenty of spare burial slots. Looks like the rubbish dump is only mildly busy now. So I think now we can... Let's start by hurling that dwarf's arm into the pit. That should be fairly safe. So there's also release all of the tamed creatures from their pit, from their cages rather. They're probably going to mostly need slaughtering, but at least let them out. Someone is meant to be doing an architecture on this. Where are you? Okay, now you are on your way down with a thingamy block, yellow. There is architecture happening. Architecture, of course, requires removing all of the spare bits of granite from the place that you want to build. Right, the architecture has been architected. Now we need a mason. Meanwhile, we're also going to want, I think, a magma forge. Is that a workshop rather than a... Apparently not a kind of furnace anyway. Doesn't seem to appear here either. Are forges special again? Magma smelter, furnace. It's going to be hugely embarrassing. BWV, right, I'm just an idiot. Yes, you're quite right, and now that I've actually looked it up, it was easy to find. Right, so those block the left and right middle squares. So let us clear that one. No one is currently working on constructing the magma glass furnace. Possibly I don't have enough masons. It looked like we successfully got that dwarf's arm into the pit without trouble. Should also deconstruct all of the empty cages from here. I should lock that door because I think it's actually better to have doors that activate the hatch usable. Camel teeth are, I'm fairly confident, not of much use. I suspect a single dingo's leg is not much use either. Alright, our mason is actually busy making new things that we need. Possibly we need more masons. And what's the point of a miller? Yeah, learn masonry. Right, so let us try, in a fit of optimism, inspecting, working out which. So that one contains Rathamal, sorry, the mutilated corpse of a peasant, which has come back to life. we should get that put in the pit, which we should be able to do like this. Right. I'm going to kind of watch that. Find the job. Doesn't seem to have been assigned yet. Right. I think that's been done. Maybe. Well, no one seemed to die of that. And the undead peasant is, oh, rather alarmingly, not quite where I expected them to be. By which I mean they've climbed back out of the hole. And are in the room with the hole in it. So that's unfortunate. Happily, we have cage traps all over the place, so I've just reconfigured the doors a bit. My hope is that now they'll find their way to... Oh, no, they keep getting distracted. Yeah, okay, that was a foolish manoeuvre on my part, wasn't it? I unlocked... Of course, leaving the doors unlocked caused people to repeatedly try to put this zombie into the pit, which was not going to work under any circumstances. Much though I'd love that zombie to be in the pit, no one should actually be trying to achieve this. I don't think you can now, but I'm slightly worried. It looks like you're not going to try. Good. Well, you're in the room now. I just want it to walk into a cage trap. Like, we've got plenty of cage traps around. Run away in the direction of the cage trap and everything will be fine. No, you're not running away in the direction of the cage trap. Also, a miner has managed to fall into the pit. We're going to find that now the pit is actually going to be cleared out by this expert miner with a vicious they've they've successfully beheaded how many? So here's our miner falling. So the peasant mutilated corpse got out and got its arm cut off, but not much more. Miner apparently fell into the pit. Possibly by dodging, I'm not sure. Yes. Miner jumped away, falling into the pit. Slams into the wear monitor's mutilated corpse. Promptly removes one of its hands with his pick, shatters a bone in its upper arm, blah 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 blah. Fractures its skull, still not quite dead, so he carries on, takes off another arm, gives it a quick punch. And eventually takes off its head. And then sets to, on the second one, removes various limbs and takes off another head. So far, this miner has managed to reduce the number of persisting undead down there by 2. Are they still alive? I think so. Yes, they are. I would observe a legendary miner. So I think there may only be 3 undead left down there. I mean, I'm still not entirely confident they can survive because there's a Draltha corpse. Meanwhile, what's going on up at this level? Looks like something has sorted itself out somehow. Maybe not very well. I'm going to say, hey, you guys. Come in here, but that door is locked, which should reduce the chances of accidentally dropping anything into the pit. Actually, let's lock that one as well. So I'll have to go the long way around. That didn't look good. Oh dear, that poor miner. Got punched vigorously by a detached right lower arm so hard as to jam their ribs through their liver, which is obviously going to be a seriously painful experience. The miner is not going to survive now. We're kind of hopeful. How's that dwarven child doing? All right so far. Not so all right now. Well, in that case, I will, since I think I should unlock these doors and see what happens. Don't go back there. Someone down there again who's alive. Okay, I thought that child had died, but apparently not, so relock those doors to try to discourage people from tripping the trapdoor. Do at least have a legendary axe dwarf, competent axe dwarf. Well, that'll do. As long as they have a competent axe. Right, that's that peasant mutilated corpse. Further mutilated. Everyone else involved is dead already. So let us encourage people to tidy up. Meanwhile, what's going on down here? We now have a magma glass furnace. Excellent. Actually, it occurs to me that may not be what I want. Well, it is what I want, but it may not actually have been necessary at this stage. So let us add a... How do you make a thing for sand? I want a sand stockpile. How do you make a sand stockpile? It's weird, isn't it? Filled bags of sand are considered furniture, and as such require furniture hauling to move. Sandbags are stored in furniture stockpiles with sandbags enabled located under type. Right. So I want to set up a furniture stockpile there. Should forbid all types apart from sandbags. Then up here I want to designate a sand collection zone, and then actually I should have built an ordinary glass furnace somewhere out of the way, because, well, no, let's not worry about that for now. Then I can schedule a collect sand job repeatedly here for a bit. And all being well, someone will start collecting sand. Get this lot, especially that arm. Down that hole. So we still, I think, don't have a safe way to dispose of dwarf corpses, of undead dwarves, except possibly dropping their entire cage into the pit. Oh goodness, it's 1:30 in the morning. Right, we should stop in a moment because we should have stopped about an hour ago. Let's wait for this save to finish and inspect a couple more things, but... Okay, we appear to have an undead pig around. That's a problem. Oh, pay attention to my my input. Thank you. Okay, that boar corpse didn't last long. Someone was passing with a warhammer. Pink Beast asks what a Gorlak is. It's some kind of underground creature, I think, that you find in the caverns. Gorlaks are small, good-allied, sapient humanoids encountered in cavern areas. A small round humanoid found wandering the caves deep underground. Most of its body is taken up by a huge tusked mouth. So there. What was happening while I was reading that? Nothing that looks terribly worrying. You guys hurl the remains of that thing into the pit before something bad happens. So here's someone going to collect some sand. Presumably means we have a bag somewhere that they can use. Seems to be a lot of rotting going on there. That might want to be fixed. Here is our person carrying a bag. Getting terribly confused by the layout of the fort. At some point I may resort to making the corridors wider. And collecting some sand. Hooray! And now is there several bags of black sand. Certainly ought now to get moved down to the ground. Yes, down to the... Oh! Stumbling obliviously. He's looking haggard. Oh dear. I think you may have been stressed to death. Or at least to what will eventually become death. That's a pity. Oh well. It's not like death is a rarity here. Right, snooze. So yes, I think we should consider this to be snoozing time. Oh look, lots of black sand while I wasn't paying attention. Oh, and indeed some other sand, because it turned out that actually we've got quite a lot of sand. Right, well, let's just schedule some jobs to cancel that for now. And just schedule the jobs necessary to make 2. We could even install glass doors down here rather than the boring stone ones. Let's make 2 green glass tubes, 2 green glass corkscrews, and 2 sets of green glass blocks. Actually, we probably only need 1 set of green glass blocks. Yes, we could indeed make some twee ornaments. And while we're here, let's also build a magma forge over that hole before embarrassment occurs. Only schedule building it, it'll happen eventually. Right, I think that's probably enough for tonight. I think we're kind of, oh gods, everything keeps going interestingly wrong. I think we need to work out how to build a climbing proof pit that we can hurl things into. Which is going to be weirdly complicated. You can hurl live things into, yes. Well, not for tonight. I shall snooze now, and we shall worry about that kind of thing tomorrow. Well, tomorrow, Sunday, whenever we get back to this. So, good night all. Let me find the stop streaming button. Good night.